Hello and welcome to Coffee Time with Juho. This time I'm gonna take you on a Hasselblad SWC trip to the US and Canada that I did about a month ago, and it's gonna be pictures. I'll show you pictures and put them on the screen and tell you about analog influencers and companies that I visited during that 10 days. First, I flew to Chicago, and I had about 2 days before my meeting with Kodak, and I wanted to, Chicago, Rochester. There's quite a long distance between them, but I didn't want to fly, so I rented a car, and then I was like, okay, why not take it through Canada? So I drove to Toronto. There's a camera shop there called Downtown Camera. I visited them. They were open on Sundays, which is not usually the case on analog photography related shops. And it was a really nice shop. I have a picture of their famous camera wall. They are deceased cameras, or dysfunctional cameras. And then their second-hand item department, which is big. I was talking with the owners about how they do the second-hand sales, and it seems that it's kind of very straightforward. Bring stuff in and take stuff out. Not very internet-oriented, maybe eBay sales, obviously, but buying in part is very local. Toronto and Canada treated me well, but on Monday I had a meeting with Matt at Kodak, so I needed to rush forward. Kodak, as you know, is the biggest company, or used to be the biggest company almost in the world. It was the Apple of the 1980s, and they have a world headquarters in Rochester. There's all kinds of museums and stuff there, but I had about 2 hours time before I had to drive back, so I just visited the headquarters, talked with Matt about the new Ektachrome release and what they have plans for that. I probably will do another episode about Kodak at some point, but now just enjoy the towers and me jumping in front of them and a selfie of me in the towers. SWC is quite good at taking selfies. You just put it to 1 meter, and which is kind of odd because you're doing a selfie with a camera from the 60s. But yeah, after Rochester I needed to drive back to Chicago to return the rental car, and to the actual reason why I was in the US. I was with a Finnish e-commerce delegation in an e-commerce conference in Chicago, the world's biggest e-commerce conference, and I was kind of trying to figure out what's happening in the e-commerce scene and what's gonna happen when we think about the analog community and the analog camera selling sites, eBay and Etsy mostly. There's some kind of alarming things, not so much for the companies, but for us as a community. And I'll do another episode of that because it's too much and it's too probably technical. I don't know if everyone is interested in that, but it's a big conference center, and SVC in a big conference center gives nice pictures. And then there you have also the Trump Tower in Chicago, which is, well, I won't comment on that, or the owner of that. Yeah, But after Chicago, I was free to do some traveling. I went to Boston to meet with our old friends from Cat Labs. Cat Labs is a shop dedicated to large format photography and darkroom supplies, and it's it's run by Omer. It's very professional, very they know what their stuff about the large formats genre better than probably anyone in the world, or I don't know, there might be someone in Japan, but you never know about the Japanese. And enjoyed the weekend in Boston and saw the Boston Pride and everything. Then it was time to move on. I took a train to New York. Train traveling in the US is kind of interesting for a European, but yeah, again, maybe not go into that. And as I was going into New York, obviously, it's time for street pan. So we took the GCH street pan and started shooting shots. I first met with Michael from Retro Photo Europe. He gave me this awesome shirt and this awesome cup, and we went to see a local camera sales event, which somehow is exactly the same kind of event as, you know, at least in Finland and pretty much everywhere in Europe. There's old men in tweed jackets thinking, having a lot of stuff there that they have, no one has actually shot in 20 years, and most of the items are very high priced, overpriced, and then every now and then they have something they just want to get rid of, and then you can make some finds. But the old, you know, hotel convention room from the 70s filled with things from the 70s. Yeah, it's kind of the old scene of film photography, and yeah, it was amazing how similar it was to Europe. But after that, I went to New York. I had a day off, went shooting. Here's a shot of Grand Central Park. Here's a shot of a New York fire truck, which is awesome. And I accidentally made a double exposure, which makes it even more awesome. And then I was going to Brooklyn to meet with Kyle from Brooklyn Film Camera. Brooklyn Film Camera is a shop that's mostly based on instant cameras. They've lately started to do all kinds of film cameras also, but they have the background that they were in the Impossible project, refurbishing SX70s back in the day, and they still have those skills. So if you have anything like Polaroid related questions or repair questions, Brooklyn Film Camera is probably one of the best places in the world to do that. Definitely one of the best places in the US. Here's a shot of Kyle when I came to the office. I called him that, hey, that door is locked, can you come and open? And I took my SVC and I had it like this, and then I like, hello, I clicked a shot of him. It turned out really nice, and this is one of the best shots I've got with the GCH, and the kind of color rendition it has. It works for this shot very nicely. After meeting with Kyle, I was in Brooklyn in one of the area with graffiti, and there was tourists going around shooting graffiti, and I thought that these are awesome. I load up a roll of Ector and start shooting, and it was the best pictures I took from the trip. But then there's this kind of like intriguing wall where in the middle of all this awesome graffiti, Facebook has posted this huge painting ad about them not being evil. And I just cannot believe that they do that, because the same advertisement was also on the Boston Metro and everything. And I cannot understand how they kind of, if they say they're not evil, how does that not backfire to them? Or how cannot they figure it out that it will backfire on them advertising like that? But yeah, I don't really care. Yes, I use Facebook, and hi if you're on Facebook, but yeah, the advertising just didn't work out for me. And then it was time to go back to the family and back to Finland. We're releasing something for the US later this year. It's a kind of software thingy. I can't tell you a lot about it yet, but that was one of the reasons to meet up with all the shops. And if you have another or other analog shops that you would recommend around the US, just send me an email or direct message telling me about the shops, so that I can feature and talk to them and probably give them maybe I'll do another tour. You never know. Hopefully you found the pictures as nice as I had when I was taking them, and thank you US for showing very different kinds of faces of you for me, and goodbye.